Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I would like to address a fairly infrequent but quite original argument against indefinite life, which some individuals might raise. And this argument suggests that if human beings live for very long amounts of time that begin to be geologically and evolutionarily significant, such as hundreds of thousands or millions of years, there could arise a peculiar kind of tension. That is, human beings who are 100,000 years old, for instance, might be very genetically different from their distant descendants, who, because they are separated by such a long time, there will have been time for evolution to substantially alter and change the makeup of the human genome and the qualities possessed by members of later generations of the human species. So this, according to those who promote this argument, might lead to certain peculiar social tensions if the evolution is such that the humans of the future have developed some remarkably superior capacities. For instance, then the humans who are older might have disadvantages in economic terms or in intellectual terms. They might be looked at as just curiosities or relics of the past. Now, this is a very interesting argument, certainly, but I don't believe that this is the scenario that will actually occur under indefinite life. And here's why I don't believe that it will occur. We need to think about what needs to happen to each individual in order for him to achieve indefinite life. Obviously, if we had the exact same bodies that we do right now, with all of their vulnerabilities, then we could expect to live, if we led healthy lifestyles, anywhere from 80 to 120 years. So, in order to live any longer, it's obvious that modifications would need to be made to the bodies of individual human beings. And these modifications would need to be made during their lifetimes. So it's not that we in our present forms are going to continue to exist forever and our genetic descendants are going to have different forms simply because of their evolution. Anybody who lives for a very long time will have to undergo periodic modifications to extend his or her longevity. For instance, we would need to figure out a way to rejuvenate various kinds of cells so as to prevent junk from accumulating within the cells or outside of the cells. We would need to prevent mutations of DNA within the nucleus of the cell and within the mitochondria of the cells. This obviously would be a very significant intervention in our biology, a kind of intervention that evolution in the pure biological sense would probably take billions of years to accomplish. But the main point is that through technological and medical intervention and alterations made to our organisms, we would be able to progress as individuals much faster than even biological evolution with the most positive outcomes would enable human individuals to progress over time. The fact is, biological evolution happens very, very slowly. And moreover, there's no guarantee in biological evolution that the traits that we as individuals consider most desirable are the traits that are going to be selected for. Rather, biological evolution simply occurs due to a natural selection process. The organisms that happen to be best adapted to the particular environment that they're in, and that environment includes freak accidents and natural disasters and various other very hostile circumstances, those are the organisms that survive. In some eras of the Earth's history, it was the complex organisms that were wiped out, and the very small organisms, such as the ancestors of all mammals, were the ones that survived because they happened to be better suited. So biological evolution doesn't have all the desirable characteristics that technological progress does. Technological progress, because it is guided, directed, planned to a certain extent by human beings to take into account what human beings want as an improvement to themselves and their environments, has much more immediate results, and results that we as individuals find much more desirable. So I believe that come 100,000 years from now, the effects of biological evolution, while there might be some of that on the human species, would be extremely insignificant compared to the effects of technological evolution. What we are able to do to ourselves, due to our increased knowledge of science, engineering, medicine, and as a result, each of us as individuals would be able to benefit from modifications from the technology, including genetic modifications. So if it does happen that some mutation, by a very, very small probability, improves some individuals of the human species, then that mutation could also be incorporated into our further technologies. Genetic engineering could, of course, alter the genomes of existing individuals in order to assimilate any kind of favorable mutations into those genomes. So, as a result, technological evolution will predominate over biological evolution. Now, this is not anything new or radical. It has already been happening since the agricultural revolution of about 10,000 years ago. Think about it. How much of our progress has been determined just by changes in our genome versus how much of it has been determined by what we have done to ourselves and to our own environment. Virtually everything around us in our everyday lives has been created by humans. And indeed, our speech, our morals, our social and political systems, our machines, our instruments of learning, are all a product of technological evolution. So, comparatively speaking, the role of biological evolution will be very small. And if there are differences, they could easily be compensated for by the similar opportunities that humans of the future will have technologically. So I don't think there will be a gap between us, if we manage to live 100,000 years into the future, and our very distant descendants.